Winter has a way of stripping life down to its essentials. The cold slows movement, shortens days, and, well, magnifies silence. For those who have lost a spouse, that silence can feel heavier than the season itself. On Warfield Prepper Chronicles, we study how people endured long winters during war, scarcity and loss, and we apply those lessons to modern life. If this kind of grounded, historically informed survival thinking matters to you, take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like this video. It helps keep this work going. Loneliness in winter after losing a spouse is not a personal failure. Historically, it has always been treated as a condition that requires management, just like cold exposure or food shortages. In wartime diaries from the Eastern Front or homestead records from northern frontiers, widows and widowers described isolation as something to be worked against daily. They didn't wait for it to pass. They structured their days, their homes, and their minds to survive it. Treating loneliness as a survival problem reframes it into something actionable. You don't argue with winter, and you don't shame yourself for feeling its effects. You prepare for it and adapt. Cold and loneliness reinforce each other. When the body cools, the mind slows, motivation drops, and isolation deepens. Historical winter survival manuals and military field doctrine emphasized routine not for comfort, but for morale. After losing a spouse, maintaining a strict daily structure becomes essential. Wake at the same time, heat the living space early, prepare warm food on schedule, and assign yourself daily tasks that matter. This could be maintaining gear, repairing clothing, documenting family history, or organizing supplies. Purpose keeps the body moving and the mind engaged, which in turn keeps you warmer. A warm house with no purpose still feels empty, but a purposeful routine gives the space weight and meaning. Before central heating, people survived winter through layered systems. Heavy clothing indoors, localized heat sources, and limited living areas were standard. Applying this today has psychological benefits. Dress in wool or layered cotton even inside. Focus heat on 1 or 2 rooms and make them functional workspaces. This creates a sense of containment and safety which counters the emotional sprawl of grief. Historically, people gathered around the hearth not only for warmth, but for mental stability. Even alone, sitting near a heat source while reading, writing or repairing tools recreates that stabilizing effect. It's not nostalgia, it's biology and habit working together. After losing a spouse, winter silence can become, well, almost oppressive, because it replaces what used to be shared quiet. Historically, people filled that silence with structured mental labor. Letter writing, journaling, copying texts, or keeping detailed logs were all common practices. For a modern prepper or historian, this might mean maintaining a winter journal focused on practical observations. Record temperatures, fuel use, food consumption, and your personal energy levels. This does 2 things. It keeps the mind occupied, and it creates data. Many historical records we rely on today exist because someone was alone and disciplined enough to write. Turning loneliness into documentation, in a way, transforms isolation into contribution. Winter survival has never really depended on constant companionship. It depended on reliable periodic connection. Historically, people scheduled correspondence and visits because weather made spontaneity pretty much impossible. Apply that logic now. Set fixed times for phone calls, radio check-ins, or online discussions with people who share your interests in history, preparedness, or self-reliance. Do not wait until loneliness becomes overwhelming. Scheduled connection removes the emotional gamble. Even one meaningful conversation per week, if it is consistent and purposeful, can stabilize morale. This mirrors how military units and remote outposts maintained cohesion during long winters. Grief settles into the body, especially during winter when movement naturally decreases. Historical survival accounts, time and again, emphasize physical labor as emotional regulation. Chopping wood, clearing snow, reorganizing storage, or practicing cold weather skills generates heat and restores a sense of agency. These tasks are not distractions. They are grounding mechanisms. After losing a spouse, it is easy to drift into inactivity, which only amplifies both cold and loneliness. Even controlled indoor work like stretching, equipment maintenance, or cleaning firearms keeps circulation active. The body remembers usefulness faster than the mind does. For serious history enthusiasts, the past is not escapism. It is instruction. Reading about widows during wartime winters, frontier survivors, or civilians enduring sieges provides context that is stabilizing. You are not uniquely broken. You are part of a long human pattern of loss, followed by endurance. Study personal letters, winter journals, and oral histories, not for comfort, but for technique. Notice how people structured their days, rationed heat, and maintained dignity. Applying these lessons creates continuity. You are not just surviving winter. You are participating in an old and tested tradition of resilience. Historically, winter morale was sustained by modest rewards. Extra rations, warm drinks, or brief rest periods were planned, not indulged spontaneously. Apply this with intention. A specific evening meal, a hot drink reserved for nightfall, or a dedicated reading hour gives the day shape. After losing a spouse, unstructured comfort can feel hollow, but earned warmth feels stabilizing. These moments remind the nervous system that effort leads to relief, which is critical during prolonged cold seasons. Winter always ends, but focusing on its end can make the present feel unbearable. Historical accounts show that survivors focused on managing weeks, not months. Break winter into segments. Track daylight changes, temperature trends, and small seasonal shifts. This creates forward motion without impatience. After loss, time can feel distorted. Measured observation restores a sense of progression. You are not stuck. You are moving through a season, one controlled day at a time. Loneliness after losing a spouse during winter is not something to be cured. It is something to be managed with discipline, warmth, purpose, and historical awareness. The same principles that kept people alive through brutal winters in the past still work today when applied deliberately. If this kind of grounded, no-nonsense survival perspective speaks to you, subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles and like this video. Share it with someone who may be facing a hard winter alone. Staying warm, staying steady, and staying connected is how winter is survived, then and now.